Okay, so as you guys know, big announcement today. Maybe you don't know, actually. Big announcement in the last 24 hours. New Stormgate trailer is out there showing the second faction. Just a little bit, little taste of it. It's a short trailer. I'm going to play the full thing with my Twitch stream here. Do feel free to join me on my Twitch anytime. Twitch.tv/tastelesstv. So this is at Gamescom in Cologne, Germany. Gamescom, I mean, biggest gaming event in Europe. A lot of games debut there. And this is what Frost Giant had to show us for Stormgate.
Stormgate is a spiritual successor to classic real-time strategy games like Warcraft 3 and StarCraft 2. Stormgate will feature highly asymmetric armies fighting for control of Earth's future. Today we have an early look at our second faction, the Infernal Host. Infernals live and die by the code of victory at any cost. They have a powerful advantage, Shroud, fields of dark magic that strengthen their armies. The lowliest Infernal units are the Worker Imps. You might think they're cute, but don't get too close. Between these powerful lumbering brutes and the fiends that they unleash, Infernals will sacrifice everything, including themselves, to emerge victorious. On the music front, the Chainsmokers are advising us on our soundtrack. We're working with composers like Frank Klepacki of Command & Conquer. We'll share more later this year, including some of the friends we brought in to lend their voices to our co-op campaign.
All must serve.
There's a lot to unpack here. First of all, we just had Zero Space announce their game. Very different styles there. Zero Space was like a massive dump of information about the game. Again, I didn't even know that game was anywhere near as far along as it was. Frost Giant using, I think, a very different approach to this. They really take little tidbits and give it out over time. And it seems like they're trying to space out their announcements to kind of keep people engaged and at the same time, you know, not give it all out at once. So let's go over this trailer real quick here. I'm gonna play this and pause at certain moments. I got a lot to cover. There's actually a lot in here that's really interesting. So first of all,
Stormgate is a spiritual successor to classic real-time strategy games like Warcraft 3 and StarCraft 2.
So this initial shot, I think we saw this before at the PC Game Show that my brother was hosting, this specific shot. And so we were already familiar with this first race, or I guess we're probably going to be calling them all factions now down the road. And look, I mean, this is a very, I get Terran vibes, kind of human vibes from Warcraft 3 a little bit, but, and we have a setting here that's, you know, very foresty. We do see looks like there's an item back here of some sort, or some kind of a creep location. So this is all not new that we're looking at.
F2. Stormgate will feature highly asymmetric armies fighting for control of Earth's future.
This was from the original trailer,
Today we
right?
have an early look at our second.
Okay, so now we're going to get to look at the second race. By the way, just looking at this unit here. What unit is this? Can't tell if this is a building or a tower. So yeah, this appears to be something they're designing. I don't know. Personally, I couldn't tell you if this is actually like a mobile unit or maybe a structure. But we do see...
Our second faction, the Infernal Host.
That the Infernals... I get a mixture of like a little bit of some of the orcs from Warcraft 1 and 2 and 3. But honestly, I look at this, it's a little bit more Warcraft 2. It always reminds me of the two-headed ogre from Warcraft 2 that I know they have in Warcraft 3 as well. With a tinge of Zerg in there. So, you know, for me, my memories of Warcraft 2 were always a little bit stronger than Warcraft 3, I think, because that was my first RTS game. Basically, the two-headed ogre in that series early on was always like this more powerful grunt that was... I see someone in the chat says, this is super WoW influence. World of Warcraft came from Warcraft. I think this is important to remind people. I think for most people, especially people younger than me, they think of Warcraft and they think of, that's World of Warcraft. Warcraft actually was an RTS. There were two Warcrafts, Warcraft 1 and Warcraft 2, and there was also Warcraft Beyond the Dark Portal that were RTS games. This is long before Blizzard was doing MMOs, so I know that many people kind of default think of Warcraft as like, yeah, that's like, you know, like all these other online MMOs. That was the one that kind of made it all. Really, back in the day, it was Blizzard. It was almost nothing but RTS games and Diablo. And then, you know, there was games like Ultima Online and all of that. All those games that were like basically pre-World of Warcraft. And then Blizzard came out and did it again. They killed it and made like the MMO. And that was the Warcraft universe. Two-headed ogres were actually RTS units. You'd get a two-headed ogre that was basically way stronger and way better than a grunt. And then you could upgrade that to have spells. And the parity unit for that with the humans was the knight that then could become a paladin. So yeah, I mean, it definitely... Now, granted, this isn't an orc. This seems to be kind of demon-inspired here. Okay, so this is the second look. This is the same unit that I saw back...
Have an early look at our
over
second...
here in the monitor in the top right, by the way. Looks kind of like a quadruped unit, but it actually, I guess it seems like it stands more on its back feet. I guess more like a gorilla, actually. I don't know what to make of this unit, to be honest. It looks like it would be like a mid-tier attacking unit. It could, I guess it would depend on how big it is in the game. It could be something the size of an Ultralisk. Looks cool. This feels more Zerg than Orc to me, but there's definitely a little bit of mixing. It does seem like Stormgate is kind of a cocktail of a couple big Blizzard titles kind of mixed together. I mean, you do have a kind of this feeling of StarCraft meets Diablo meets Warcraft here. You know, again, this trailer, it's not like the huge amount of information that Zero Space announced, but at the same time, one thing that is, so, you know, we're kind of limited in what we can, you know, parse through, but the art and the concepts they're showing are definitely more developed. And that's kind of exciting because we're really getting a glimpse into what it looks like.
At any cost. They have a powerful advantage, Shroud. Fields of dark magic that strengthen their armies.
Okay, hold on.
They have a powerful advantage, Shroud.
Shroud.
Fields of dark magic that strengthen their armies.
Okay, so... Oh, look at that. Look at the size of that skull back there. So this is... I don't understand. Is this a area buff?
The lowliest infernal units are the worker imps. You might think they're cute, but don't get too close.
They're saying, well, it's a worker unit, so it's an imp. So this would gather resources, but I guess it can attack. One thing that's important to note, and I actually feel like this has been a little bit, at least in a lot, and I talk to a lot of people about Stormgate, because obviously we're all pretty invested in the future of this. And now with Zero Space out here, excited about that as well. I mean, the future of RTS is bright. They do emphasize that the races or factions in the game are going to be asymmetric. In other words, like a game that is not asymmetric with the races in like resource gathering would be StarCraft. Everybody has to build a gas geyser. I mean, they're built in different ways, but everybody mines gas. All the workers go and get the minerals. A different version of that would be Warcraft 3, where everything resource gathering is asymmetric. Like wisps just sit on trees and soak up the resource on the tree. The humans and the orcs cut the trees down. Acolytes mine on the gold mine differently than like peasants do. And I don't know, but with the emphasis on asymmetry, they're saying this is a worker unit, but it seems like it can attack. So I'm wondering if that is the same kind of idea. I mean, we've already seen with the first race and some of the mining, it looks kind of like peons mining a gold mine. I am in the alpha, so there's stuff I can't say. But yeah, I mean, from what we've seen, in saying this is a worker, this looks different. The Dark Shroud, so does that make it so that you can't see it? Is this another type of Fog of War? Is it a buff? Hold on. It says they have an advantage. He's actually talking. I'm like guessing, but I could just listen to what he said. Hold on a second.
Shroud. Fields of dark magic that strengthen their armies. The lowliest infernal...
Okay. So it seems like it's some kind of a buff. But it's important to note it doesn't look, at least like in the image, that this is a buff that is the same thing as... It doesn't look like it's the same thing as... Unless you can chain these together like Creep. But I'm not against that at all. Cool looking building, by the way. It looks like it's some kind of almost like hovering demonic stone, but kind of almost like it's a balloon being held up by a chain with some underworld power beneath it.
Strengthen their armies. The lowliest infernal units are the worker imps. You might...
Nice piercings.
Think they're cute, but don't get too close.
So, okay, so what is this thing? Okay, so it looks like they trigger something and its hit points go down. I don't see anything hitting it here. And then it basically becomes
Too close.
a thing that kamikazes onto, at least we know a building. So keep in mind, we don't know if this can actually connect onto units. But I don't know if it's, well, I don't know if it's the same thing as a baneling mechanic. Let's say that you get 8 of these, maybe you can blow up somebody's, like, command center or town hall or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, interesting. Interesting. Again, we don't know if it hits units. I don't know if it does splash damage. It looks like it does, but I actually just don't know. I mean, from the animation, I would guess. Okay.
Between these powerful lumber...
He's got looks like a cleave in his hand. He's got some serious nipple rings. He's got nipple rings the size of my grandmother's earrings. Like, these are wild.
brutes.
Okay, big, powerful attack.
Between these powerful lumbering brutes
Big lumbering
and the
brutes.
fiends that they unleash,
And the fiends they unleash.
Infernals will sacrifice everything, including themselves, to emerge victorious.
This is kind of an interesting take on a classic Blizzard unit, which is the two-headed ogre. But it looks like it's a reverse Archon thing. I like that death animation. I think it's not a death animation. I think it's like something you trigger. It's at full HP.
Everything.
So they burst out, and now you have 2. Reverse arc. What does a reverse Archon mean? So in StarCraft, you would take 2 Templars and merge them together. And then in StarCraft 1, you can have 2 normal Templars or 2 Dark Templars that make 2 different Archons. But it looks like you would trigger this to then have 1 unit merge out into 2. So I wonder what the idea is with that. Is it like you'd want this unit to, after it takes a certain amount of damage, you'd trigger it to then have 2 more units that would then just continue the fight so that you can kind of snowball damage out of the game?
Including themselves, to emerge victorious. On the music front, the Chainsmokers are advising us on our soundtrack.
That's crazy. They've got the Chainsmokers advising them.
We're working with composers like Frank Klepacki of Command.
This I am very excited about, by the way. This is, are you guys familiar with this guy? He made the music for Command & Conquer. That's so sick. That's so exciting. I love the original Command & Conquer soundtrack. I'm trying to think of all the games with the most iconic music. And I know there's stuff like Mario and stuff that everybody kind of knows the songs by, but like the fact that they got this guy, and I think that one of the best things to come out of Command & Conquer was the music. This should be really good. I guess when it comes to all these new RTS games coming out, we don't really know what the soundtrack is going to sound like. But this is a big addition. And obviously getting the Chainsmokers, I mean, that's one of the most iconic music groups. I mean, everybody knows the Chainsmokers, so that's huge. They're big RTS fans as well. Frost Giant also is one of the Brood War composers, right? Is that true? I actually don't know. Did they say that in here? Hold on.
and Conquer. We'll share more later this year.
We'll share more later this year, guy in the chat. That's all they're giving us for now.
Including some of the friends we brought in to lend their voices to our co-op campaign.
I even like this profile pic here. It's like, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of the box art for StarCraft 1 where they had like one of the factions' faces on there. I'm very excited to see the second faction, and I'm curious what the third faction is going to look like. But now we get to see the contrast. I feel like before when they showed us, like, this is what they showed us at the start. And this is cool. But looking at this, it's kind of like if you had not played, just imagine that StarCraft wasn't out. Like, not even StarCraft 2, I mean like StarCraft 1. And you just saw Terran. I don't think you could be as excited by Terran until you saw Terran fighting Zerg. Does that make sense? So I feel like once you start to see the other elements come together, then you start to, and then you know, they kind of close it out with this fight over here.
We'll share more later this year, including some of the friends we brought in to lend their voices to our co-op campaign.
So yeah, you get to see them actually fighting and battling, and I mean, this is exciting. This is very cool. They've got some competition now with Zero Space. It does seem like both the different studios have different approaches to what they want to show, where I think Frost Giant is spoon-feeding little bits here and there, and it seems like they're going to have many smaller announcements on the way as they build up to the game actually being put out. I think, and part of that is strategically to gauge interest. We had a massive dump for Zero Space of just like everything was suddenly out. Is Zero Space also free to play? That's a good question, Saber. I don't know. I did message Katz, who works there. I'm going to try to interview him maybe next week on the stream. Maybe you guys can write down some questions for me if you guys think of any. It's a good time to be an RTS person, honestly. Maybe Blizzard collapsing was actually, in some ways, for RTS, you know, a good thing, even though, I mean, it's not great that StarCraft isn't supported directly from Blizzard anymore, but that it is, you know, kind of caused this diaspora of talent to go out there. And, you know, we see these two games being made. You know there's going to be more coming, too. It's not going to just be these two. I'm excited by what I see here. I think especially seeing the mix of the second faction in the game makes a big difference. Makes a big difference here. If you enjoy this kind of content, the whole YouTube thing, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell. I am going to try to be making more and more YouTube content as my schedule frees up here. I do plan on making Stormgate content, whether that's me casting it or games of me streaming it, maybe guides if I think I'm good enough to make something useful in that area as well. Check out my merch shop. This is a GG shirt, tastelessthreads.com. We got a lot of cool stuff that I think you would love to rep and be proud to wear. I know I'm proud of it. And join me on Twitch, twitch.tv/tastelesstv, where you can see me try to be good at the game I've been playing for 25 years. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.